What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Juice Reacts video. In today's video, I kind of want to go back down memory lane. For those of you that don't know, I have actually a bigger channel that is called Bat from the Box, and it's where I cover a lot of Batman stuff. But before it became that, it used to be like a review channel, and I tried to do a bunch of different things on it. Well, one thing I was trying to do was these informative videos, and one thing that just really annoys me when it comes to people that watch TV shows or movies is they put all of their stock into Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not a fan of Rotten Tomatoes. It's okay to use it as a reference, but you shouldn't take it as a damn holy freaking word, alright? Because I think the system's kind of bullshit. Well, I actually made a video about 2, maybe even 3 years ago that dove into just like, you know, the mystery of Rotten Tomatoes and how their system is. So this is the first video. I actually did a follow-up video after this. We're not going to react to that one. But it's the real system. When I found out the real system, it's still kind of garbage in my opinion. But we're going to go ahead and react to this just because I referenced this video to somebody today and I was like, you know what, why not just react to it? Because I actually put a lot of work into this video. I'm very surprised and kind of proud of myself of how I edited this, because I think it's kind of cool. But anyways, we're going to jump into it right now.
Quick, if you're watching this, I don't have much time. The Illuminati is real. They don't want you to know that Rotten Tomatoes is lying to you. That's right, the website that so many clueless moviegoers use to judge if a movie is good or not is lying. I have to go now. They're coming. The moon landing is fake. Pizza Hut's pizza isn't great anymore. Vote Rock 2024! Okay, so now that conspiracy juice is gone, let me help you solve the question of, is Rotten Tomatoes lying to you? In recent years, Rotten Tomatoes has been tossed into the never-ending war that is DC versus Marvel fanboys for its almost predictably high ratings for the Disney-owned company, and its not-so high ratings for their comic book counterparts. They got one, though. Wonder Woman! Now, at times in this crazy fanboy war, the passion has gotten so ridiculous that groups have been created to sabotage future movies, which is kinda sad. So now that you have an idea how ridiculous these fanboy wars can get, let's talk about some of the myths that get tossed around on the internet about Rotten Tomatoes. The first one being that Rotten Tomatoes makes up its own ratings for their movies. That's false. Rotten Tomatoes gathers multiple reviews from websites across the internet and uses them to generate a combined
You guys don't know
score.
how much research I did
on their
into
website. It's not a personal rating made up by someone that works there. The second myth is Disney pays reviewers to give their movies good scores. Now, after doing some research on this one, I couldn't find any evidence to this claim, meaning this is false too. If anything, I found more evidence against Disney paying people. I mean, at the end of 2017, Disney was involved in a bit of a scandal for banning the LA Times early access to reviewing their movies for an article they didn't agree with. Also, have you ever seen the amount of people that review Disney movies? Yeah. That's a whole lot of people to have on the payroll. To be honest, the smarter theory here would be that Disney isn't paying reviewers, but that reviewers are just a bunch of Disnerds. People that are so in love with Disney that they think that everything they do is great. You know, like DC and Marvel fanboys. But hey, that's just a theory. Wrong channel. Third myth is usually a counter-argument against the idea that Rotten Tomatoes is biased towards DC movies. The argument
like a
being
parody
that
of that
Warner
almost.
Brothers, who owns DC Comics, actually owns Rotten Tomatoes. So why would they give themselves bad reviews? Now, this was true back in February 2016 before
There's so much going
traded
on
Rotten
in this
Tomatoes
video.
and Flickster to Comcast for ownership stakes in the popular website Fandango. So sorry, Marvel fanboys, you're gonna have to find a new comeback. Now that we've cleared up some of the bigger myths surrounding Rotten Tomatoes, let's talk about the website itself before exposing them for their lies. Sorry, conspiracy juice just came back for a bit. As I stated previously, Rotten Tomatoes is a website that gathers reviews from all over the web and compiles them neatly into one area that provides a combined score that makes one
Jesus.
But what if those ratings are fake? I don't know about you guys and gals, but I'm the type of person that thinks you should judge things for yourself because we don't all have the same taste. I mean, do you want to trust a review about an action movie from somebody who might hate action movies? Doesn't seem like the best idea. But for someone who has often found himself joining the great fanboy war over the years, I've noticed that Marvel does have a pretty amazing track record when it comes to movies. Even their TV shows are well rated, minus 2 flops in Iron Fist and Inhumans.
Those are bad
I'm
shows.
not even exaggerating here. Marvel has 18 movies in the MCU. 7 of the movies are rated in the 90s, 6 of them are rated in the 80s,
I went and did all of this
3
work.
in the 70s, and only 2 movies rated in the 60s. So if this was a grade school class, everyone would be passing, even those 2 that got a D because, you know, the teacher feels sorry for them or they just want them bottom out of the class. Rotten Tomatoes
It's
feels
true.
the same way because all 18 MCU movies are rated fresh. Compared to the DCEU that only has 5 movies and 4 of them are rotten. Thank you again,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman! But Juice, what does rated fresh even
Oh,
mean?
that skin,
well,
bro.
let me tell you a little
Gotta
nugget.
get
Rotten
better.
Tomato has the all-knowing tomato meter that clearly states that a movie is to be rated fresh if it has a 60% or higher. Movies will be deemed rotten if they score a 59% or lower. And then
Pretty
there's the
stupid system.
coveted certified fresh that states, to receive a certified fresh rating, a movie must have a steady tomato meter rating of 75 or better. Movies opening in wide release need at least 8.
I do want to stop it there, because when I made this video, this was on their website. Like, all the information I got and the information I researched was from, and I put all my sources in the video, but this was on their website, and then when I dropped this video, like, either, I think it was a couple of days before or a couple of days after, this was gone. They changed the whole thing, they changed the wording and stuff like this. So, this might be very different. Also, this video is like 2 years old. But, yeah, this was pretty much this. But the basis of the system is still there.
80
And I still think
reviews
it's
from the
stupid.
Tomato Meter critics, including 5 top critics. Movies opening in limited release need at least 40 reviews from the Tomato
Yeah,
Meter
I
critics,
don't know.
including top 5 critics. TV shows have less requirements, but if a movie or show were to fall below 75, they would lose the honor of certified fresh. Now,
Yep.
you might have noticed to become certified fresh, you need to have reviews from top critics, and if you're like me, you ask, well, how do you become a critic or top critic for Rotten
Stupid
Tomatoes?
face.
Instead of boring you with every single detail to become an approved source for Rotten Tomatoes, I'll just tell you this.
Jesus.
If you haven't worked at a high-ranking media company for the last 2 years, forget about it. And if you want the glory of becoming a top critic, Rotten Tomatoes states you must be published at a print publication in the top 10% of circulation.
Everything I
employed
just
as
told
a
you,
film critic
right
at
there.
a national broadcast outlet for no less than 5 years, or employed as a film critic for an editorial-based website with over 1.5 million unique visitors for a
researched that
minimum of
shit.
3 years. So now that we've cleared up some of the myths that surround Rotten Tomatoes and talked about how they choose their critics, let's move on to their rating system. That's right, the all-powerful rating system that many fanboys believe influences if their movies get watched or not.
So
Some important
stupid.
information here. At the time of making this video, I am using Black Panther as my example, and the rating is currently at 98%, with
This is the
89
fanboy war
total
right here.
reviews and only 2 of them being rotten. When I initially thought of this video, Black Panther was at 100% rating, with about 30 plus reviews, and it was at that moment that I noticed Rotten Tomatoes' rating system is a bit weird. As I read through a lot of the critics' thoughts on the movie, I noticed many of them were not giving Black Panther 5 out of 5 stars. Now, I'm no math lead. I mean, I loved math up until they started bringing letters into the equation, and then it was GG for old Juice Man. But even with my not-so-great math skills, I'm pretty sure for something to be
stupid.
perfect, it needs, or at least should be, perfect across the board. So I decided to look deeper into the rating systems of all of these critics, and they don't even follow the same style. Some of them went with the out of 5 stars, others out of 10. I even saw the grading letter system with a B+. And with all of these various systems, a majority of them weren't perfect. But Black Panther still had a 100% rating. Jumping over to the 98% rating that the movie's currently at with the 89 posted reviews, I decided to write down every single score and
That's
convert
real.
them to a percentage to see if Rotten Tomatoes' score is accurate to what they post on their website. To my surprise, 35 out of those 89 reviews didn't even have a rating visible on Rotten
forgot
Tomatoes'
about that.
website. So I had to go through 35 different reviews to see if they actually provided some type of rating, and only 1 out of the 35 reviews provided one. That's 34 out of 89 reviews. Nearly half of the reviews that get compiled into this master
It was
rating
nuts.
don't even provide a value. I can't be the only one that thinks that's pretty ridiculous, right? Before we move on, let's go ahead and see if the actual ratings that provided a value add up to the master
I
rating.
did so
like
much
I mentioned
work on this
before,
video.
various rating systems were used here. I'm converting them all over to the out of 100 method.
Yeah.
With the reviews that used a letter grade system, I decided to take the highest value from the range. So after converting every rating that was given and adding them together, we ended up with 5,367 points. Divide that by 55, which was the number of reviews that provided an actual rating, and we ended up with a 97.5% rating, which is almost spot on with the rating provided by Rotten Tomatoes at a 98%. If you round up, of course. So at the moment, Rotten Tomatoes is looking pretty good. But what about those 34 reviews with no value? They would most certainly affect this rating, especially since one of the not rated reviews was rotten, meaning that it's below 60%. I decided why not give these unrated reviews a value and see if it would affect the overall score.
I still can't believe I did all this.
If all 30 reviews were rated at a 70% combined with the other 55 reviews, the overall total would be an 87%. That's a pretty big difference from 98%. But what if they were all 80%? Combined with the other reviews, the overall score would be a 90.8% rating. Make all those unrated reviews 90% and you would end up with a 94.6% rating. And let's just go ahead and say all the unrated scores were perfect. That would end up giving you a rating of 98.5, which again is pretty close to what was posted on the Rotten Tomatoes website. But let us not forget that one of those not rated reviews was rotten. So now we have two big questions. One, does Rotten Tomatoes count these unrated reviews into their master score? And two, if so, are they assuming that all of these reviews are perfect scores? Because at the moment, those are the only two providing a rating that is similar to the one that's posted on the website. I decided to put both of these questions to the test, and I'm going to use the original 100% rating with the 30 reviews that it had at the start. Out of those first 30 reviews, 11 of them were not rated. So if Rotten Tomatoes is not counting unrated reviews, then those 19 that do have a value should equal to 100%. Well, let me tell you something. Those 19 reviews equal to 1,675 points. And when you divide that by 19, you get an 88.1% rating. That, ladies and gentlemen, is nowhere near perfect. You aren't even getting an A in the class anymore. So the idea that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't count the unrated reviews has to be false. Now let's move on to the assumption that Rotten Tomatoes might count all the unrated reviews as perfect. By adding those 11 other reviews to the 19 we just tested, that would make our score become 2,775. And when you divide that by 30, you get a rating of 92.5%. Still not perfect. So the question now becomes, what is Rotten Tomatoes doing? They obviously aren't using a basic averaging system like we are in this video, so what could it be? Well, when searching the web, I came across an article on movieweb.com about the top rated superhero movies of all time, and
I will say I don't think at this point MovieWeb is a great source, but it was the one place I found something at the time, and it said that I think the article said it had talked to somebody in Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if I referenced it in the video, but yeah, MovieWeb, I don't think they're the best, but it's what I have found.
It had a quote from Rotten Tomatoes about the rating system. Before I move on, I have to provide a trigger warning for Marvel fanboys and some DC ones as well. The quote in the article is in relation to Wonder Woman being the highest rated superhero movie of all time with a 108.567% rating. You go, Wonder Woman! Anyways, back to the article. According to Rotten Tomatoes, the adjusted score comes from a weighted formula, Bayesians, that we use to account for variations in the number of reviews per movie. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, what the hell is Bayesians? Well, apparently it comes from someone named Thomas Baines, who was a mathematician. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I am out of my league trying to explain this to you. Luckily, I did find a video on YouTube that does explain Bayesian statistics, and I'll have a link to the video in the description down below. What I got from the video is that Bayesians deals with the likelihood or probability. The one thing I know about probability is it's not perfect or exact. So why in the world would Rotten Tomatoes use this for their ratings? They have the data they can pull from to make legitimate averages. With all the high standards it takes to become a Rotten Tomatoes critic or a top critic, why not make everyone provide an actual valued answer within the same system? Their current system just seems a bit odd. Why wouldn't you want to provide the most accurate and truthful answer to your audience? Before I go, I just want to throw some gasoline on the fire that is the DC versus Marvel fanboy war, because what would happen if we gave the Black Panther 100% treatment to some of the DCEU movies? Justice League, for example, opened up at a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. They got in a little bit of hot water for not releasing the score on time. If we took the first 30 reviews, 8 of them which are unrated, the other 22 would equal out to 1,271 points. Divide that by 22, and you come out with a 57.7% rating. Now, if you make those other 8 unrated reviews perfect scores, like we did with Black Panther, the total comes out to 2,071. Divide that by 30, and you get a 69% rating. That's not a bad score. That would actually be considered fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Anyways, if we move over to the movie that many people believe killed the DCEU, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the movie opened somewhere in the 27% range, which is awful. But again, first 30 reviews, 8 of them were unrated. The other 22 that were rated amounted to 1,204 points. Divide that by 22 and you get a 54.7% rating. That is almost 30% more than the original rating. That's huge! Add the 8 perfect scores and you end up with a 66.8% rating. That is such a better rating to open up a movie with than 27%. With crazy differences in numbers like that, it blows my mind that people would put so much trust into a website to judge if they should see a movie. Now, I know some people say ratings don't affect viewer turnout, and that could be possible, but how can you say that if you haven't polled every single person that goes to the movies? I mean, the saying, "I'll just wait for it to come out on Netflix," has to come from somewhere, right? I will say this, I couldn't find the exact amount of reviews that factored into the initial rating for the DCEU movies, but if it was anything like Black Panther, it was more than likely under or near 50 reviews. So, is Rotten Tomatoes lying to you? Maybe. I think it comes down to perspective.
I don't know what happened with that audio.
Rotten Tomatoes has every right to use this Bayesian formula, but as someone who frequents the site regularly, I just don't understand why they would. Like I stated previously, Rotten Tomatoes has all the data to provide a more accurate rating to their audience for these movies.
Stupid.
With the current system, movies seem to be rated better or worse than they really should be. On top of that, nowhere on the website could I find what formula Rotten Tomatoes uses, and if it is listed, it's not easy to find. You would think it would be right next to the world-famous tomato meter. In the end, I just think with the amount of popularity that Rotten Tomatoes has, they should be more transparent with their audience about how they make these ratings. But hey, those are just my thoughts. If you have any inside info or can explain how their system works, sound off in the comments. Also, if you're curious to why I didn't include audience ratings, that's because I feel like those are way easier to manipulate since you don't have to go through all the requirements to become a trusted critic. Just go look at Star Wars The Last Jedi. If you think that Marvel and DC fanboys are rough, don't even bother with those guys. Anyways, ladies and gents, that is going to do it for me. As always, I am your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. If I have a daily dose of juice, see you guys next time. What's going on, guys? So I hope you enjoyed that.
Classic intro. That's just me talking about helping out. So, okay, so like I said, there is an additional video. Shit, I didn't put it in here? Or maybe I put it in the, did I put it at the end? Hold on. Well, there's another video. I made another video right after this one shortly. I don't know where it's at. Crap. Well, there's a secondary video that happened. Let me show you. Right here, I made another video called Follow Up Rotten Tomatoes Rating System Explained. I just felt like I needed to make it. It's only like 5 minutes. Because somebody did tell me how they do go about making the rating system, and it's still kind of stupid in my opinion and kind of unfair. So if you want to see the follow-up, it's right there. Just go check it out on my main channel, which my main channel is called Bat from the Box. Go check it out. Just search through the videos. It's from like 2 years ago. But if you want to check that out, it's definitely there for you. Or there's a whole bunch of other old school freaking comic book content you can watch. But there you go. Okay, but there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to share that video with you because I shared it to somebody else on Twitter. And I was just like, you know what? Let me react to an old video because I still think that video is relevant. I still think people should not put so much stock into reviews. Like, be your own judge. Go, if you think a movie looks interesting, go watch it. And if it sucks, then you can go tell people, hey, it sucked. And then, you know, if people want to trust your opinion, then they can do that. But I always tell people, go watch things for yourself. You like a show, you think it's interesting, go watch it. Even if you think something sucks, go watch it. And the reason why I have that mentality is because you never know what could change your life or inspire you or do whatever. I use this example all the time, and a lot of people think the movie is crap. I love The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. A lot of people think it is a garbage movie. But that movie made me want to get into film and made me want to become a writer. And I was just like, wow, I don't know what it was about that movie, but it inspired me to be a movie. So you might think that movie is garbage, but it made me want to get into that industry. So maybe if you see a garbage movie, it might inspire you to do something, not necessarily be a film maker, but you know, it might inspire you to do something because of something that happens in that film or whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of how I view life. Don't freaking let the Rotten Tomatoes of the world judge your perception on things. But that's going to be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, we have a Twitch channel, link in the description. You should definitely go check it out. We will be streaming later today. But as always, ladies and gents, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do it. Turn on that bell so you don't miss any of the stuff that we upload here. As always, I'm your host, JUICEbox. Remember to wake up in the morning, ask yourself something about my daily dose of juice. See you guys next time.